Yo, what's going on, y'all? This is Marcus Rosa, aka Mazuma TV, back at y'all with some more boxing talk, man. We got some things that we currently need to discuss. That's going on in the boxing world, man. We're gonna talk about Jake Paul and Gervonta Davis relocating from Atlanta, Georgia to Miami, Florida, man. We're gonna get into Pacquiao versus Romero possibly being next. Then we're gonna get into some open boxing topics. You feel what I'm saying? Shout out to everybody that's in the building thus far. If y'all could go ahead and hit the like button on the way in, that'd be very much appreciated. You see what I'm saying? Shout out to everybody that's in the building thus far. Shout out to the boy Yasir Ali, forever dedicated, calm-minded. What up? Bad Boom Balloon. What up? Lorenzo, West Philly Tour, man. Shout out to Philly in the building from north to west, man. Shout out to my boy West Philly Tour. Chris Maldonado, what up, man? Good to see you, brother. I hope you're doing well. Salute. We got some people in here, man. I'm assuming the notifications done got sent out. Oh, man. The one and only Coffee Plan is in the building. What's going on, brother? What's going on? How we feeling today? Well, how we feeling tonight, I should say. How we feeling, man? I'm feeling blessed. I ain't gonna lie to you, man. Got a little bit of extra time with my son. You feel what I'm saying? I'm not gonna have him this weekend, but I did have him basically every day this week. You know, Monday morning, dropped off, got him Tuesday afternoon, dropped him off Wednesday morning. Gonna get him tomorrow afternoon, then drop him off Friday morning, hopefully Friday afternoon, because I'm off work Friday. You know what I mean? Hopefully they cool with that. So I've been spending a lot of time with my son, and it's a beautiful thing. You know what I mean? Whether he in the gym with me or we kicking it at the crib, or we eating, we watching TV together, reading, you know what I mean, coloring, all that good stuff, man. I'm feeling extremely blessed. You know what I mean? Everything was cool. Today was just a regular work day, man. You know what I mean? Great day at the gym. Got some defense drills in, bag work, just regular work. You feel what I mean? You know, we got some sparring tomorrow, so I'm excited about that. Yeah, I mean, I really can't complain, man. Let's get the likes up, man. We also gonna do this. That's what we doing from now on. That's what we doing from now on. We gonna go ahead and put subscribers only mode. Yeah, I mean, and just go about our day. You feel what I mean? If you ain't subbed, there ain't no point in you even coming on here and conversing with us. You feel what I'm saying? But anyways, we got some things that we need to discuss, man. We're gonna be speaking about this whole Gervonta Davis and Jake Paul situation, and exactly what we take from that, and why things went the way it went. Because I ain't gonna lie, shit been kind of confusing, to be honest with you, man. I felt like we was being misled as like boxer fans. You know what I mean, in terms of what was going to be happening between Jake Paul and Gervonta Davis. Like, we had our criticisms regardless, but at the same time, like, you know, we were told one thing, and it turns out that things weren't really, you know, completed how we thought they were. And for those of y'all who don't know what I'm talking about, man, Jake Paul, unless y'all living under a rock, y'all just don't tune in with the boxing world whatsoever. Jake Paul, social media sensation, who's went on to have a professional boxing career, is going to be looking to, you know, after facing Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., you know what I mean, and defeating him, and then prior to that, facing an old Iron Mike Tyson. Now he's going to be taking on a lightweight champion in Gervonta Davis. And initially the fight was going to be made over in Atlanta, Georgia, but I guess behind the scenes, Jake Paul, MVP Promotions, Gervonta Tank Davis Promotions, they had some difficulty solidifying the fight because Georgia wasn't exactly agreeing with how the way they were moving about things. According to like a commissioner, he said it's like the dumbest shit he's ever seen. And you know what I mean? They didn't want to approve that due to the huge weight difference between the two. And I kind of figured that something like that was going to happen. I figured one of these commissions were going to push back on the whole situation because it's like, how could you have such a weight difference between these two guys? And then, you know, and by the way, Jake Paul's trying to make this count as a professional bout. You feel what I mean? He's trying to make this, like, he wants this to count on the books. And then George is like, bro, like, you want this fight to actually count in the record books. But there's a huge, like, y'all nowhere near each other in weight. You know what I mean? It's not like if, you know, Jake Paul is 160 and, you know, Gervonta Davis is 147 and they just meet in the middle. No, that's not what it is. We talking about a guy who walks around at his fight weight. Gervonta Davis. So he walk around like 138. He fight at 135. Then you got Jake Paul, who's fought as high as 220 plus pounds against Mike Tyson, just fought at cruiserweight against Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. And then I think the lightest he's ever come in was at 175. So, let's say Jake Paul gets to 175. I don't really see him going any lower than 175. Unless he can make 68. But Jake Paul is a big dude. Like, he's not somebody who's just gonna be boiling down to the 60s or the 50s in order to accommodate Tank. It's not gonna happen. All the resources he have, he can't go against, his body. And, he's not going to put himself in no type of danger to, fight Gervonta Davis for a check. You feel what I mean? So it's like there's such a weight difference between the two. They're not going to be able to find a common ground that's going to work for both guys. It's either Gervonta going to be blown up and be completely out of shape, or Jake Paul is going to be extremely drained and won't be able to perform to the level that he will hope to in the fight against Gervonta Davis. So, you know what I mean? It's just so weird that these guys are going against the rules of boxing, like pretty much trying to, make up their own rules and just make this shit just like at this point, is it even boxing? Y'all not respecting weight classes. Y'all motherfuckers not respecting, the game in itself. You feel what I'm saying? So I've seen why Georgia pretty much wasn't too, cool with that. So, Gervonta Davis and Jake Paul, they realized they was being held up. You know what I mean? They fucking up the bat, they fucking up their bag or whatever the case is. And I told you guys in that latest video that I had put out that, this fight was most likely going to be relocated to Florida or Texas. I even threw in the Carolinas just in case. You know what I mean? But we already know the Carolinas ain't necessarily known for boxing, and it's not like somewhere where people really want to go to watch boxing. You feel me? So it ended up being Miami, Florida. You know what I mean? Let me go ahead and share the article for the people to see. Shout out the boxing scene for putting this together. And it says Gervonta Davis versus Jake Paul exhibition move to Miami. Hint how they saying exhibition. So it says it didn't take long for MVP to find the new home for his exhibition bout between company founder Jake Paul and Gervonta Tank Davis. On the same day, it was reported the company had withdrawn its application to stage the exhibition in Georgia. MVP announced that the show will now take place in the CashApp Center in Miami. The show will remain on its original date, November 14th, with Netflix to broadcast the bout. It's no small coincidence that Davis Paul lands in Miami, which is the city where Paul's brother Logan boxed an exhibition against Floyd Mayweather Jr. in 2021, despite nearly weighing 35 pounds heavier than the retired boxing great. So I guess Florida is completely okay with the serious weight disadvantage that these smaller guys are going up against these, these social media guys like Jake Paul and Logan Paul. Jake Paul, whose record is 12-1, weighed in 199.5 for his most recent bout in June, a cruiserweight bout. A unanimous decision against Chavez Jr., while Davis, 30-0 with one draw, is the current WBA lightweight title holder and weighed 133 and 3/4 pounds for his last fight in March, a draw against Lamont Rose Jr. The difference in their most recent weights, it was a quarter pound shy of 66 pounds. So damn near 70-pound weight difference between these two. Representatives of the Georgia Athletic and Entertainment Commission, which oversees professional boxing in the state, had revealed on Friday that the fight was unlikely to take place there, with Robert A. Sinners, communications director for the Office of Secretary of State, telling USA Today flatly that an event, unquote, will not be happening. MVP announced that it will stop at the Palladium Theater in New York City on November 22nd for a press conference to promote the event, followed by another one the following day at the CashApp Center. I don't know if I'm saying that right. My apologies. Both press conferences will take place at 6 p.m. Eastern Time and are open and free to the public. Okay, so the CashApp Center holds a capacity of 19,500 people and is the home of the NBA's Miami Heat. Okay, that's good to know. Let me see. Well, that's pretty much all they said outside of that. Let's actually get into this article right here to speak more on what happened exactly with Georgia. Rick Thompson, the chairman of Georgia Athletic and Entertainment Commission, said, "I believe it's in the public's interest to know that because they've been promoting something that should not have been." So according to the Georgia Commission, it sounds like the fight was never solidified in the first place. So he was pretty confused. Rick Thompson, the chairman of, the Georgia State Athletic Commission, he's pretty confused as to why it was even being announced because they didn't even give it the green light. See, like, yo, why is y'all so sure that this fight's giving the green light? We didn't even give y'all permission to actually stage the bout here yet. Like, y'all over here booking the venue, y'all doing all this extra shit, but we didn't give you the say so yet. And everything has to go through, the state athletic commission in order for it to be a sanctioned fight. You know what I mean? Or just like a entertainment event in general. You have to go through them. You feel what I mean? So he pretty much telling y'all, I know they announced this shit to y'all, but it was never done in the first place. You know what I mean? All right. They probably evaluated the situation, knew that their weight differences were too much. Yeah. I don't think they really got too much into like, why they like, Georgia's side on the whole situation. Let me see. All right. I want to see something real quick, yo. Let me see if I got this on here. Having trouble pulling that up. So, anyways, it is what it is. Yeah. Jake's lowest was 185. Okay, so that's still a fucking cruiserweight limit. So that just makes my case even stronger. Shout out to the boy Lorenz. Bad Boom Balloon for letting me know that. You know what I mean? But I did say it in the video that most likely they will relocate to Florida and Texas or something like that, even through in the Carolinas. And come to find out, it's happening in Miami. So, you know what I mean? Like I said, a lot of these commissions can be bought. Unfortunately, man, a lot of them think that all money is good money when the reality of the situation is that could easily be, proven to be false because let's say it's a situation, like I said yesterday on the live, where like Gervonta Davis may get seriously hurt as a result of this fight. That's going to fall on the commission for allowing this shit to happen, considering the huge disadvantage that Gervonta Davis went into the ring with. I think Georgia realized that they didn't want that blood on their hands, so they chose to go in a different direction. You know what I mean? This fight makes absolutely no sense outside of the money. I feel like Gervonta Davis could have made serious money, you know what I mean, facing elite level opposition in or around his weight class, especially if it got the proper backing like a Turki Al-Sheikh, just like how Turki Al-Sheikh is financially backing this PBC event that possibly may go on between Shakur and Teofimo Lopez. They could have did the same thing for them. And they would have gotten the spotlight that they deserve. You know what I mean? Tank could have been fighting on Netflix against Shakur Stevenson. He could have been fighting on Netflix or any other platform with any other big name like a Devin Haney, Teofimo Lopez. You know what I mean? And for those of y'all, well, Devin Haney's fighting at 47. Bro, he's about to fight a cruiserweight. So I wouldn't get, a welterweight shouldn't be, exempt from a fight with Tank at this point. For anybody that's going to ever bring up the fact that this person's too big for Tank, this person's too big for Tank, that's just completely voided just based off of the move that he's making right now. You can't say that at 140 is too big for him. You can't say that at 147 is too big for him. Like, cut it the fuck out, bro. We got to keep this shit consistent all throughout the board. You said, what if Tank beat him? Then more power to him. You know what I mean? I'm going to be honest with you. I don't really give a fuck who win this fight. I don't give a fuck if Tank gets sparked, whoop the fucking do. If Jake Paul get his ass whooped, whoop the fucking do. That shit don't affect me whatsoever. I'm neutral in this fight. You know what I mean? If I find something good to do that day, I might not even watch it, to be honest with you. If I don't got nothing planned, then fuck it. You know what I mean? And most likely I probably will watch it because it falls on the second weekend of the month, and that's when I have my son. So I like to keep my son in, I like to bring my son in the crib early. So, most likely that'll be the move. But shit, let's say it's a situation where we had to step out or something like that. I might just do that. So we'll see. this fight don't affect boxing positively whatsoever. You could say, oh well, it's gonna bring more it's gonna bring more fans to to boxing. It could make people bigger fans of boxing. Okay, that's one side of the coin, but there's also the other side of the coin where it may detract people from wanting to spend their time and invest their time into boxing because they're gonna look at boxing and realize this shit like is like WWE. This shit is wrestling. This shit is entertainment. I'm trying to see real fights. Like this is what's getting popularized in boxing. Oh, boxing watch, and they might be discouraged from watching boxing because they don't want to watch these goofy ass clown shows. You know what I mean? If we're gonna represent boxing in a positive light, or at least attempt to bring boxing in the most positive light possible. No, Maldonado, listen, there's nothing wrong with WWE, brother. I grew up watching WWE. I could give you a whole list of my favorite wrestlers ever. It got its own lane. The problem is boxing is trying to become that. And they're two totally different things. That's world wrestling entertainment. And boxing can be very entertaining, but it shouldn't solely be based around entertainment. You feel what I mean? Like boxing is about the best fighting the best. You know what I'm saying? Legacy. Who's the greatest of this generation? You know what I mean? Things of that nature. And, no disrespect to wrestling. They say it's not fake, it's premeditated, but boxing isn't. You know what I'm saying? So there is some drastic differences between the two sports. You feel what I mean? But it just seems like they willing to water this boxing shit down just to make a few more dollars. And, you know what I mean? I'm not really with that. That doesn't push the boxing culture forward whatsoever. This ain't gonna make me like if he were to spark Jake Paul, that's not gonna make me look at him any different. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna look at him as like this pound for pound great because he destroyed Jake Paul. To be real with you, despite the weight difference, you're supposed to get off on Jake Paul. You know what I'm saying? And let's say Gervonta Davis fought all the best guys and he defeated, the who's of his division. And even if he came up short in a couple bouts or whatever, and he retires and then he goes to fight Jake Paul, I swear to God, I wouldn't have said a negative thing about it. Not a single negative thing about it. But the fact that you have all of these fights, like I said, you never definitively proved that you were the best in any weight class that you've ever competed in. You know what I mean? Whether it was at 130, you still had Lomachenko around. You know what I mean? You had all these different dogs around you, and you ain't fighting none of them. Even Tevin Farmer, who I thought you could have beat, didn't fight him. Gary Russell, who was willing to go up to 130 to fight you, didn't want to fight him. You go up to 35, you didn't fight Devin Haney. You still have yet to fight Shakur Stevenson. Didn't fight Keyshawn. Didn't fight Teofimo when he was there. You know what I mean? Then, you take a chance at 140 against Mario Barrios, but you got all these other champions in the division. You don't even want to look their way and claim that they too big for you. So Mario Barrios ain't too big for you, but everybody else is. Barrios moved up to 47, and he's a big 47 in himself. But everybody else too big for you. Okay. And you go around and you push that narrative and you had these fans back you like, man, Devin too big, man. Devin a weight bully, man. But Ryan Garcia was bigger than Dev the night they fought, and Tank fought Ryan. Ain't that some shit? So all of this shit, all the excuses, bro, that he left and all of the excuses that the fans was copy and pasting, I want to see what y'all got to say now. Devin too big. Yeah, 47. All these motherfuckers, they too big for Devin for Gervonta Davis. But you bought to go fight a nigga who damn near double Devin Haney size. Crazy. Absolutely crazy. Shout out to Sean Ramsher in the building. He said Russell would have been a great fight. That would have been an amazing fight. Because at that point in time, Gary Russell was like the longest reigning champion in boxing at one point in time. He had that WBC belt for a while. And, he from the DMV area. I know that Baltimore is not a part of the DMV, but they're relatively close to each other. That could have been a fight that could have went down in Baltimore, D.C., you know what I mean, where Gary Russell from like Capitol Heights, Maryland, Gervonta Davis, he's from B-More. They could have met each other in the middle somewhere, and that would have been a huge fucking fight. Huge fight. Could have made a shit ton of money. Would have been a great competitive fight. Gervonta never mentioned that guy's name. Never. When they was pressing him to fight Lomachenko, they were saying, "Oh, Gervonta, man, you young, you ain't got to rush. You know, Lomachenko old, so he rushing. We gonna fight him whenever we feel like fighting him. We not gonna let nobody control what we do." Duck talk. You know what I mean? Devin Haney and them, they try to enforce. They try to had the WBA make Gervonta, who had the regular title at the time, his mandatory. They refused. Was even willing to give up the belt, and the WBA stood down. They offered Tank money, and they said, "Oh, we the A side. You can't offer us nothing. We the A side." Like, it was just so much shit, bro. So much bullshit. But it is what it is. I'm sick of talking about this whole thing, but it's just crazy that Tank pretty much avoided an immediate rematch with Lamont Rush to go fight Jake Paul when he knows that outside of money, this shit makes absolutely no sense, to the point where these fucking athletic commissions, knowing that they can make a good amount of money, is saying no because they understand how much of a bullshit fight this is. I'm gonna actually pull up a quote from somebody who I believe is a part of the Georgia Commission, and shout out to Happy Punch for putting this up. This was a quote from Rick Thompson, the chairman of the Georgia State Commission. He says, "I believe it's in the public's interest to know that." I believe it's in the public's interest to know because they've been promoting something they should not have been. It's the dumbest shit. This is what he said. It's the dumbest shit I've ever heard. It's a money grabber, and I'm not okay with that. Shout out to Rick Thompson. Shout out to Rick Thompson for that. Recognizing bullshit when he see it and not giving it not enabling the bullshit. So shout out to Rick Thompson. Somebody who actually standing for something, you know what I mean? But shout out to the boy Ralph in the building. What up? Chris Maldonado said, "Mark, you saw Triple G saying he's open to coming out of retirement. Probably need some more money, man. Them Canelo Alvarez paydays probably drying up, so he looking for the next bag. Probably gonna try to get a fourth fight with Canelo on some Manny Pacquiao Marquez shit. I don't know, but it'll be interesting if he does decide to come back at the age that he is, because I'm sure he's in his 40s by now. What weight class would he come back at, considering his last fight was at 68, and who would he be looking to fight? You 43 years old, brother. What weight you coming back at? Super middleweight? If you do, I know a perfect fight for you. If Demetrius Andrade is available, I would love to see Triple G versus Demetrius Andrade at 168. Why not? Speaking of Demetrius Andrade, I seen that heated back and forth that him and Ness went through over at the Boxing Voice. And I was a big Demetrius Andrade fan coming up, bro. I studied so many of his fights, love what he did. But Ness made some valid points, man. Shit that I couldn't even argue myself. I had to agree with him. I'm going to actually pull that shit up. Let me pull that shit up. Let me see. There you go. So I'm gonna play this for y'all. This is a heated back and forth between Ness and Demetrius Andrade. You know what I mean? So let me share this. I want to know exactly what y'all think about it. Shout out to the 18 people that's in the building. Heated back and forth between Ness and Demetrius Andrade. I'm gonna stay quiet. I'm gonna let y'all hear this.
Because nobody wants to fight, and to fight me, people
that's
want to
not
get paid.
true. That's not true. That's not true. There's plenty of people that want to
get paid fighting me.
Johnny Beck wanted to fight you.
That is
Johnny
true.
Beck wanted to fight you. Carlos Adames will fight you. Pacheco will fight you.
Where do you see this at? Where do you see this? Did they go in public and say, Demetrius Andrade, I'll fight him? Did they say that?
You got to get active, Demetrius.
No,
There's
no,
no,
no, no.
way you
Answer
gonna
that
get
question.
how you
Answer
gonna
that
get a
question.
how you gonna get a Canelo fight
Bro,
and you ain't
answer that
active?
question. I got a David Benavidez fight.
Yeah, and that's exactly why I'm
Because
campaigning.
you know why? Because I'm
this,
a man.
No,
I'm
no,
man
this
enough to step
exactly
into the
this
ring with
exactly why
motherfuckers.
I'm campaigning against this shit. It ain't fair to the motherfuckers in the rankings. Pacheco is fighting everybody. Christian Billy is fighting everybody, and you want to cut the line.
Yo, bro, what
you don't
talking
deserve
about?
to cut the
I've been
line.
doing this for a long time, bro.
I said Carlos Adames.
These...
I said Pacheco. I mean,
I got a question for Ness. I know he'll never answer it, but you saying that Demetrius Andre don't deserve to cut the line and shit like that, and I believe that's a valid point. But I wonder if you said the same thing about Manny Pacquiao when he was fighting Mario Barrios. I wonder if you had that same criticism for Keith Thurman fighting Sebastian Fundora. I wonder if you had that same criticism for Fundora getting an immediate title shot against Tim Tszyu after being knocked the fuck out in his previous fight. I wonder if he has those same criticisms for those dudes.
and there's plenty of people.
Pacheco. Okay, there's plenty of people to call out a lot of people. I call out a lot of people. People still don't want to fight. So what are you saying?
My bro, you calling
people
out. You calling people out, and you've been out the ring. Let me tell you exactly how long.
Wants to fight. And you know how much money niggas want to fight me?
Days.
You know how much money people want to fight me, bro?
Yeah, they probably want a lot of money.
A lot. All right. And you know what the promoters are going to do? Not pay it.
So you got to get your markability up.
My markability up. Yeah, by fighting the best motherfuckers. What the fuck are you talking about?
No, by staying active. By staying active.
Dude,
let me ask you a question.
I actually agree with Ness. You can't be just sitting around waiting for an opportunity, just hoping it appear. That's always been my biggest criticism about Demetrius Andre. He pretty much took like a Keith Thurman approach where he feels like if he's not fighting elite opposition, then there's no point in him fighting at all. So he's just, collecting all this dust, just being on the shelf when he could remain active. You know what I mean? Keep his name, circulating in the boxing world, and eventually, a fight that he's been looking for may actually show up to his doorstep. But when you are, and that's a result of consistency and hard work, you feel what I mean? And I feel like Demetrius Andre feels like since, these bigger name guys aren't giving him fights and stuff like that, then, then there's no point in even, getting back in the ring to fight these, lower level opposition, lower level ops. You feel what I mean? And I could understand Demetrius Andre's frustration because at the end of the day, he was providing valid points as well. I'm sure there's plenty of people who turned down Demetrius Andre fights or requested shit tons of money, and these promoters don't feel like he's worth it. I remember Eddie Hearn just expressing frustrations with, promoting Demetrius Andre because he was keeping Demetrius Andre active, but he could never solidify the big fights for him because people weren't too optimistic about fighting him. And when you look at Demetrius Andre's style and stuff like that, I can see why a lot of people want to avoid him because very awkward, southpaw, fast hands, got some crack, you feel what I mean? Got ring IQ as well. He's just very hard to figure out. He's a very uncomfortable style to go up against. So I can see why people would rather go a different route. However, you can't just be sitting around just hoping that people give you a title shot. You end up fighting the next best opponent. I've seen you calling out Caleb Plant. You know what I mean? I've seen you calling out Canelo. I've seen you calling out Triple G. I've seen you call out Gabe Rosado a few years back. I've seen you call out all of these guys. You know what I mean? But if you don't give these guys nothing if you're not doing anything to keep the pressure on these guys to fight you, then they're gonna use that you being inactive and coming off of a loss as a reason not to fight you. You need to get them numbers back on the board. You got to get the ball rolling because as of right now, your shit stuck. The ball ain't been moving in a long time, brother. Like that shit just staying in place, and you just want people to give you opportunities because you a 2-division world champion. That's not how that shit go.
Let me ask you a question. Was Triple G fighting the best?
I'm talking about fighting.
Was Triple G fighting the best?
No. Outside of Canelo and like Daniel Jacobs, no. I don't know what point he was trying to prove right there. Triple G didn't fight the best. Who did Triple G fight? outside of Canelo and maybe a Daniel Jacobs, who I never really looked at as the best, but you know, who did Triple G who did he fight that was the best? What are we talking about? Sergey Derevyanchenko? Was he ever the best? Triple G avoided a lot of competition too. And Triple G didn't want to fight Demetrius Andre. He didn't want to fight Jamal Charlo. He didn't want to fight Erislandy Lara. He didn't want to fight Andre Ward. So, huh?
Talk about fighting Charlo, bro.
I'm at
Charlo. I want to fight
Charlo belong in rehab. Stop this shit.
Oh my God.
Who the fuck you fooling? You're not fooling me. I'm a purist. I'm a purist.
Jamal Charlo just fought recently. This nigga said Willie Monroe. I remember that. David Lemieux was a better op. He was a better op at the time than Willie Monroe. But neither one of those guys was like big fucking names or like the best. You feel me? But you can't just, you know, Jamal Charlo definitely got his issues, but you can't use that against Jamal Charlo. You can't blame Demetrius Andre for wanting to fight Jamal Charlo. At the end of the day, Jamal Charlo's still an undefeated world championship level fighter. You feel what I mean? He just beat Thomas Lamana. You know what I mean? Before that, he beat Jose Benavidez Jr. You know what I mean? These wasn't the most credible guys, but you know what I mean? Jamal Charlo's still out here winning. So, yeah, he got his issues. You feel what I mean? But you know what I mean? I can't. I seen plenty of videos of Canelo Alvarez drunk. Steve Rose, this nigga anonymous trolling. I remember Steve Rose. He got put out. Triple G hit him right on the top of his head, put him to sleep. But yeah, I don't necessarily agree with that. I don't like that angle he took with Jamal. Like, oh man, he drinks, so why would you want to fight him? It's like all these niggas drink, bro.
You can't fool me.
Cornflake, though. It's okay for him to fight David Benavidez Jr.'s brother, though.
You picking on a motherfucker going through something.
Everybody goes through something.
Man, go pick on Billy. Pick on Christian and Billy. Pick on Christian and Billy. Pick on fucking Lester Martinez.
The two niggas that you just called out, they just got ordered to do an immediate rematch, so they wouldn't be available for a Demetrius Andre fight anyway.
Pick on Diego Pacheco.
Oh, them niggas.
I like that fight. I like Demetrius Andre versus Diego Pacheco. If Andre could step on Diego, that could put him in position. I like that fight. What y'all think, y'all? Diego Pacheco versus Demetrius Andre? That'd be a good little chess match right there. Demetrius step on Diego. That could put him right in the front line for a title at super middleweight. Especially if Bud vacate. It's a good one. I like it.
You need somebody to get you a fight.
Be known, bro.
You need to talk to Pro Box and get you a fight, because you ain't gonna get a fight 660 days sitting outside in front of you. And look, right where I said, he on his mansion. That's what the fuck I said. I said you on your 5 acres calling out big names off of a fucking layoff. No, sir. Listen to me, man. Listen.
People don't want to fight, bro. Yeah, it's been
so become someone's mandatory. Become someone's mandatory.
I agree with Ness. If you can't get these motherfuckers to fight you, become someone's mandatory. How are you gonna be able to do that? You gotta step on these other contenders that's in your division. You sitting here, like I said, you sitting here just waiting for an opportunity. But opportunities don't just pop up. You gotta create them motherfuckers, man. Especially if you in Demetrius Andre's shoes, bro. Motherfuckers don't want to fight me because I'm a dangerous style. But if I stay active and these motherfuckers want an opportunity, eventually they ain't gonna have nowhere to go. You gotta fight, man. And Demetrius Andre just sitting here all down in the dumps, just pretty much giving up on himself. To be honest with you, the man just giving up on himself. No, you gotta create opportunity. It don't matter, and especially as a black fighter, niggas not gonna hand you nothing. You not George Kambosos' brother, where you win one big fight and all of a sudden you running into all these opportunities. No, you got to get your shit out the mud. That's how you had to do it all your career. And now all of a sudden, you feel like shit just supposed to be handed to you. No, you got to go get it, brother. So I understand what Ness is saying. I don't feel like Ness is being disrespectful or anything like that. He just telling them telling them things that he need to hear.
Become someone's mandatory. Get active. Get ranked. Become someone's mandatory.
You over here talking about saving niggas. That's some bitch shit. You want me to be like an
Did you do what Canelo did? Have you done what Canelo's done? Have you done what Canelo's done? Have you done what Canelo's done?
He hasn't had Canelo's opportunity, so I don't even know why he would ask that.
Have you done what Canelo's done?
Yep. Canelo was scared to fight.
I never seen it. I never seen it. You know what you did? You know what you did? You didn't fight Johnny Beck. You didn't fight Johnny Beck. Remember? You didn't fight Zach Parker. Remember? You didn't fight Zach Parker. Remember? You remember that?
Nobody even know who you're talking about, bro.
Exactly. That's your excuse. That's your excuse. The dudes that's coming up, the dudes that's coming up that deserve a fight, nobody heard of them. But we heard of you.
Damn. Yeah, man. You got to do something, dog. Like you gotta create opportunities for yourself, because before you know it, you're not gonna be able to fight anymore. That window gonna close on you. You're not gonna be the same. And then when you end up getting opportunities, it's gonna be when niggas know you ain't got shit left. You feel what I mean? Like you should have known. You should have known after like a year off with motherfucking David Benavidez that motherfuckers wasn't gonna give you no opportunities. Because usually when somebody lose, they were like, "Oh, you want to fight him? Oh, you want to fight him? Oh, you want to fight him?" They still ain't called Demetrius. They're like, "Man, fuck that." Benavidez steamrolled him, but he's still dangerous. We ain't gonna fight him. So that's when you should have got the fuck up off the couch. You know what I mean? Settle for a little less bread. And yo, I ain't mad at it. Go ahead and get you a pro box fight, bro. What's wrong with that? What's wrong with that? What's wrong with staying down until you come up? Andre, you done made a shit ton of money already, brother. But if you want to get to that ultimate stage again, you're gonna have to make some sacrifices, brother. You are. You're gonna have to get paid a little less in order to get that fight where you might make the most that you made ever in your career. You know what I mean? But that's been a constant theme with Demetrius Andre's career, unfortunately. I feel like he's going to go down as a fighter that's going to be going to have a little bit of a what-if factor to him because, you know what I mean, we've seen him fight on TV. We've seen sparks of, greatness within Demetrius Andre, but he ultimately never got that opportunity because of inactivity, bad business moves, and not pulling the trigger on certain opportunities. Like when Ness brought up the Zach Parker situation. I remember that. He didn't want to look in that direction. He didn't want to look in Johnny Beck's direction either. I remember the Jamel Charlo situation where he had that fight locked in and they were supposed to fight, but something happened with his management or whatever the case is, and that fight fell through within weeks, weeks before the fight was supposed to manifest. So it's just unfortunate with Demetrius, man. I would have loved to have seen Demetrius at that high level because, he was just so talented. Fight guys like Beck, Pacheco. I would love to see. I would not mind seeing that fight. I think that'd be a really good fight. Beck Demir versus Demetrius Andre. Why not? His loss to Benavidez was bad. Yeah, it was. He was letting his hands go on David. He was landing some shit, but then Benavidez landed that body shot and shit just changed. Seems like losing that was very detrimental. I mean, it could have very possibly been because I feel like, because Demetrius Andre, he won multiple titles in multiple divisions, right? All right, cool. I think he won like 2 titles at 54, won a title at 160, held that John down for a little bit. Then he ended up going to 68 because he couldn't get the opportunities that he was looking for, right? So you going into 168 with no title, you know what I mean? Only thing you got to really back up to make yourself look good in the division is your undefeated record. But once you lost that, now you, like I said, you giving people a reason to walk out that door without having to see you. You giving them a proper exit out of that situation. And when people will ask, when people ask, yo, what you think about a Demetrius Andrade fight? They could go about that scenario multiple ways. They could be like, yo, he coming off a loss. That's not somebody I really would consider fighting at this point in time. He need to get back in the winning column. Or they could take like a Floyd Mayweather route when somebody lose and be like, oh, well, he got David Benavidez problems. He gonna have to fix that before he comes see me. Now you fucked. Because, people are gonna be backing what he's saying. And, I didn't agree with everything that Ness said, but he made some valid points. Like, bro, you coming off of a 660-day layoff. That's 2 years, pretty much. You like 2 months away from a 2-year layoff or something like that. You damn near on the 2-year layoff. Nobody's heard from you outside of a couple interviews you do. We ain't hearing no fight dates. We not hearing your name attached to nobody. Nothing. But you just had this entitled ass attitude. You got this entitled ass attitude that people supposed to, want to fight you and that people should be willing to fight you. Like, no, nigga. I don't understand where that mentality is coming from because Andre knew since the beginning of his career that motherfuckers ain't want to fight him. You lucky you got a Vaness Martirosyan fight back when you was younger. You lucky you got a Willie Nelson fight. You lucky you got a motherfucking Brian Rose fight on HBO. You lucky you got those situations, bro. You're very lucky. You lucky you was able to get a world title. That shit happened at Thanksgiving of 2023. Okay, so I was right. 2 months away from a 2-year layoff. And that you ain't make no noise since you got stopped by Benavidez. Shout out to the stranger in the building. He's saying, and then we're going to get into that last topic that's addressed in the title as well. But he says, do you care about that Ben Eubank 2 fight? I don't hear a lot of talk about it. Well, to be honest with you, there wasn't really much said until the press conference that occurred today. And I heard Eubank and Eddie Hearn had went back and forth. You feel what I'm saying? Chris Eubank don't be letting Eddie Hearn talk. He be like, Eddie, stop talking. Eddie, we don't want to hear it. We don't want to hear it, Eddie. And Eddie would just get so mad because, Eddie Hearn is the type of dude that he loves to hear himself talk. He likes to take over the room. You know what I mean? Like, he likes to take over the room and just, put on his promotional hat and just do what he does best, and that's sell the fight. But Chris Eubank doesn't allow him to have that opportunity whatsoever. He said, well, at least let me say this about Ricky Hatton. And to be fair, he should have let Eddie Hearn say what he had to say about Ricky Hatton. It was unrelated to the fight anyway, but Eubank wasn't having it, calling people scumbags and saying that the EMTs took off 20 minutes late when he got in the – like, he was pretty much blaming, like, the event organizers, which is Matchroom, which is also Eddie Hearn, for his ambulance having a 20-minute delay to the hospital. And he said they could have been life or death. And, you know what I mean? If the EMTs are doing that, then, he holding the match, Matchroom responsible for that incident occurring. Also called like the head of like the British Boxing Board of Control incompetent. I think he even called him a scumbag. So Eubank just be shooting at everybody. He just be shooting at everybody, bro. He don't like nobody. So I thought that was interesting. I seen that Bomac is back in Chris Eubank Jr.'s corner, which I found to be pretty ironic because wasn't Chris Eubank just calling out Terrence Crawford for a fight the other day? Then Eubank post, Eubank Crawford. Then he, I swear to God, he just said that. Didn't he say that? Let me see if I can actually find that shit. Didn't he tweet that? Eubank Jr. calls out Crawford. Yeah. He posted Eubank versus Crawford 2026. You saying that. So you calling out Terrence Crawford, but then you hiring his trainer to work with you for the fight prior to 2026? That's kind of weird. That's kind of weird, bro. Like, I wouldn't even know how I feel about that if I was Bomac, to be honest. But I don't know if it's just a strictly business type situation or they really got a good chemistry. I know that he had worked with Bomac previously to avenge his loss to what the fuck was that dude's name? Was it Liam Walsh? No, it was, man. I be getting confused with their names, man. Or is it Liam Smith? There's so many Liams and fucking Callums and Campbells. This is Liam Smith. All right, cool. God damn, I'll be fumbling their names crazy. But yeah, Liam Smith, shout out to Anonymous. But yeah, I seen that he had hired Bomac for the rematch for that fight, but then since then, I don't think he had Bomac in his corner, and now he's bringing him back around. Now, is this a good thing that Chris Eubank did? I personally believe it is. Bomac and his team is some of the best trainers in the world. Bomac is known for having great game plans, great approaches. Like, look at the game plans that he's cooked up previously, with, Bud and Spence. Phenomenal performance. You got to give the coaches credit for formulating that game plan. You know what I mean? The game plan they just cooked up for Canelo Alvarez. You know what I mean? Like, these guys are genius strategists. They're genius with the game plans. They are real boxing coaches. You feel what I mean? So I think that Chris Eubank understands that. He understands that he needs to solidify this fight. He needs to give Conor Benn another L to show the people it's not a fluke. So he's coming to be as prepared as possible. So I commend Eubank for doing that. I just wish that once he hired Bomac, he kept Bomac around, because it seems like you just bringing him around whenever, you know what I mean? Bringing him around whenever, like, you really need him. You know what I mean? It's kind of like, I don't know, that's that flip-floppy shit I really don't like. I mean, if you fuck with somebody for real, keep them around. Don't be conditional when you want to bring motherfuckers around, or be conditional when you want to fuck with somebody. Like, that's weird. That's just me. I don't know. Maybe that's because I'm a coach. Me personally, once somebody turn their back on me, I'm not coming back around. But, Bomac probably looking at it from a business perspective. You know what I mean? Good money, good opportunity. He trying to solidify himself as trainer of the year, which he may have already by now. But if he were to train Chris Eubank, and let's say he were to stop Conor Benn or whatever the case is, that'll make him, in my opinion, a shoo-in for the trainer of the year. Like, I look at that might be unanimous, to be honest. So we'll see. But the last topic that I wanted to speak on in this whole situation was the rumors that's been going around with Manny Pacquiao. You know what I'm saying? Manny Pacquiao just came back not too long ago against Mario Barrios and had a, in my opinion, controversial draw against Mario Barrios in a fight that a lot of people thought Manny Pacquiao won, coming off of a 3-4 year layoff and a loss to Yordenis Ugas. He was able to come back and give Mario Barrios a run for his money. And, since then, Manny Pacquiao feels good. He feels like he should continue being in the sport. And he's looking to take on top welterweights that are in the division. And one of the top welterweights in the division, whether we like it or not, is Rolly Romero, who just came off of the biggest victory of his career against Ryan Garcia, and I believe picked up the WBA regular title. And from what I understand, I don't know if he's been elevated yet, but slowly but surely he'll be the fourth status champion in the division. So Manny Pacquiao, he attempted to get the WBC, fell short as a result of horrible judging, in my opinion. So now he's going the WBA route to face Rolly Romero and try his hand there. Now, what do I personally think about it? I reached out to Rolly Romero myself. I asked him if this was facts or cap. And he said it's nothing solidified. And this is Rolly Romero's words. These are not mine. I spoke to the boy. You already know I got a direct line to Rolly Romero. Said that nothing solidified as of right now, but he has 3 options. Still the same 3 options he had told me previously. He says the Manny Pacquiao one is an option. But also, there's the Mario Barrios fight where he could unify. And then there's also the Ryan Garcia rematch. Now, if you're Rolly Romero, I'm sure anybody would love to be in this situation because those are all big fights that Rolly can make some good money in, man. Fucking nigga shooting fireworks, nigga. There's September. Nigga, you 2 months late. But anyways, I mean, you could take the unification fight, and if you defeat Mario Barrios, which I genuinely believe Rolly would, that'll put him in an even bigger power position to make more money in his next fight. So you look at it that one way, you know what I mean? That's PBC versus PBC, so I'm sure that'll be easy to put together. If you beat Manny Pacquiao, an icon, a legend, you know what I mean, an all-time great in his own right, you defeat him, that take your stock to another level. More people get to knowing your name, and you know what I mean, that could set you up for some power moves in the future. You fight Ryan Garcia, you silence the doubters once again, which I believe Rolly would do. That'll be a good money fight, I'm assuming. And we'll have his name jumping all over again, because he pretty much have put the nail in the coffin in terms of Ryan Garcia's career. He'll end it right then and there. And he'll be known as the person that, you know what I mean, pretty much packed Ryan Garcia up and destroyed his chances of becoming world champion. He said, can't believe we got old ass Pacquiao around getting opportunities. Hey, man, that just lets you know how weak the welterweight division is. Pacquiao not stupid, y'all. So he felt like the division was filled with smoke. Like if 47 was how 54 was right now, you better believe Pacquiao would have either been stuck doing exhibitions or he would have just sat his ass down, because he know them niggas would have been too much for him. But since Gervonta Ennis moved up and all that good shit, man, he like, all right, this is a safe time for me to, you know what I mean, put some money on the boards. You know what I mean? So I ain't knocking it. These motherfuckers got to make an example out of Pacquiao so he don't come back. These old niggas always get ran off by the block. Boxing is a young man's sport. I genuinely believe that. There's been a few exceptions of older fighters who was able to really hang with the youngsters. You feel me? I don't think Pacquiao at this point in time is capable of, you know, really competing with these elite younger guys. You feel what I mean? I just think that he's seen a lot of holes in Mario Barrios' game and felt like he could take advantage of it. And he almost did, to be real. And Pacquiao, Southwest Dice, you might be right. Pacquiao might need money. But I don't think that he would have needed money that bad if 47 was stacked like 54. That's just my thing. I think he could have, man, let me go get money a different way. I ain't fucking with these niggas. You know what I mean? The stranger asked a pretty good question. He said, how does it work when two fighters from the same stable fight? I mean, if you're talking about promotional stable, I mean, I guess it'll work like any other fight would work, but I think what makes it easier is that it's not as many hands in the cookie jar. It's the same people dealing with each other. So it's like y'all under the same network, so that means y'all don't got to negotiate with any other network. So we ain't got to worry about splitting revenue or anything like that. If y'all got the same manager, then, you know what I mean? The manager don't got to deal with anybody. He can just deal directly with y'all, see what y'all want, and, you know, negotiate with both of y'all guys from there. You know what I mean? If it's the same promoter, it keeps the money together. And as long as the money's together, it'll be easier to make one. As long as they don't got to split bread down the middle, they don't got to negotiate with people to see how much they need to break off or how much they get to keep. It's just more smooth. It's a more smoother process. You know what I mean? It's almost like, I don't know. I don't want to bring this up. Never mind. I ain't going to bring that up. It's almost like, let's say, for instance, boxing, right? Let's say you're trying to get some sparring, right? It'll be easier to spar a nigga that's from your gym because he's right there for you to see. You know what I mean? You could go up directly to that person. Yo, can we work? Oh, yeah, we could work, blah, blah. In comparison to going to a different gym to get sparring. Now, you got to reach out. You got to reach out to that gym, possibly, if you don't have the coach's direct line, get in contact with the coach. You know what I mean? Then from the coach has to reach out to the fighter to see, you know, when they're available. And, you know what I mean? Are we going to their gym or are they coming to our gym? What, you know, how many rounds we doing? It's a lot more steps involved when, you know, you branching out to a different company. What about training? If y'all share trainers, Well, that could be a bit sticky, man. That could be very sticky, man. Typically, that doesn't really happen. You know what I mean? Just out of respect for the trainer. But I recall a situation where Sergey Derevchenko and Daniel Jacobs had the same trainer, Andre Rozier, and when they were I think that was like a final title eliminator or something like that. They might have been fighting for a belt. I don't know. I forgot. It was a long time ago. It was the HBO days. Sergey Derevchenko left the camp because Andre Rozier and Daniel Jacobs, they was way closer. They had more history together. So I think Sergey understood that Rozier wasn't going to pick him over Daniel Jacobs. So he went and trained with a different individual for that fight. And then after they fought, Daniel Jacobs defeated him. I think he ended up going back to Rozier. So I don't know, man. It's just different. I don't know. Me personally, I would never let none of my guys fight each other. And if y'all dead pressed on fighting each other, I don't want to be involved because they ain't got shit to do with me. Like I don't know. That would just make me very uncomfortable. That's why, like in the Golden Gloves, I got 3 fighters that's in the same weight class, 165. I purposely had the heavier one fight in the weight class above and kept the lighter one in the 165 weight class because, you know, it could have been a strong possibility that they defeated everybody. Then they got to fight each other at the end. Y'all stablemates. That's not happening. And I don't want to be involved in that. And there's some fighters from our gym who we chose to keep out of the Golden Glove so they wouldn't fight each other. Fight each other's stablemates. That to me, that's just not cool. You feel me? Now, if they were training together and then that, one particular person goes to another trainer at a different gym, that's different. But like to have two fighters that you training at the same time to fight each other to compete in the Golden Gloves or any other tournament like that, I'm personally not doing that. I'm cool. You feel me? Shout out to the boy Anonymous. He said, "Shame we got greats like Bud, Usyk, and Inoue, but we also got trash like Barrios embarrassing us in our era too." Yeah, man. I guess we got to take the good with the bad, right? I'm just happy that I'm willing to deal with guys like Barrios if we got generational talents like Bud, Usyk, and Inoue. You feel me? Like we can't have it. We can't have it all. Like for all the good that we receive in our life, we gotta deal with the bullshit sometimes too. Like if you got a great paying job, you know what I mean? You happy that you got the money, but you may not typically be at the same time, you may not be too happy with the job because it's boring or you're just not interested in it. You know what I mean? You gotta take the good with the good and the bad with the bad. You feel me? But I'll deal with the Barrios just to witness how great Bud, Usyk, and Inoue is. You feel what I mean? And other great fighters like Ben Rodriguez, Shakur Stevenson, Devin Haney, my favorite fighter, David, Boots. I'll deal with a Barrios, you know what I mean, in exchange for those fighters. You feel me? This reminds me of when Ryan Garcia was trying to fight Frank. I don't recall a situation where Ryan Garcia was trying to fight Frank. I think what had happened was, and you could be right, I don't remember, stranger, but I do remember that Ryan, while he was training with Frank Martin, was picking Tank to beat Frank Martin. Now that's some snake shit. Like, it's just something you don't do. That could create a lot of tension, and shit could go left as a result of that. You know what I mean? When you got all that testosterone in the room, man, that's just blatant disrespect. You know what I mean? Can you imagine you getting ready for like the biggest fight of your life, right? And you training with this particular individual who probably playing all nice in your face and, you know what I mean, just being so cool and chill. And he really played like he your man's, like you going out with him, you partying, all types of shit. Just for him to do an interview, you come across, and he's saying that you gonna get knocked out by somebody that you preparing for, just because he got knocked out by him. Like, what the fuck? Like, what in the fuckery is going on? But that's the arrogance of Ryan Garcia. You know what I mean? That's the fool. Like, that's how much of a fool he is. You know what I mean? Like, he a snake. Snakes do snake shit. And Frank was probably felt so betrayed. He was like, you know what, man, fuck this nigga. That's just what it is. You feel me? But it's just sad knowing that, Ryan is like the ultimate snake. I'm sorry, that nigga worse than Teofimo, y'all. I'm sorry, he worse than Teofimo. I don't really know how else to put it. I know people be hating Teofimo and they be comparing both of the guys, but it's like, bro, when you really look at these guys, and Teo done did the same shit because he was like, on Canelo and them dick. You feel what I mean? Then when Canelo ain't want nothing to do with them, or he didn't want to train Teo no more, he picked Bud to beat Canelo. You know what I mean? And then pretty much saying that they not good enough for him, but you was the one that was coming out and begging to train with him. I don't know. But that nigga Ryan's like the ultimate clown. The ultimate clown. Like, you know how arrogant, you know how much of an arrogant piece of shit you gotta be playing all cool in somebody's face, and then in that same moment do an interview with somebody and then pretty much shit on them or predict their downfall or some shit. Like, bro, I ain't gonna lie. If that was some shit that was going on in my gym, like let's say one of my fighters was acting that way with another fighter of mine, he cut. We ain't even about to be doing that. Cause I ain't about to be uncomfortable training nobody. I don't never want to walk in the gym and feel animosity or tension between two people. Fuck all that. Raul said Joshua did that too. He was working with Derek saying Canelo would beat Jamel. I think he dipped from Derek James before Jamel fought Canelo, right? Regardless, man, that's just how niggas be moving sometimes, bro. You know what I mean? That's how niggas be moving sometimes. Like, what could we do? Not everybody move with integrity, man. You be thinking niggas be thorough or whatever the case is, and then they just do some fuck shit. Like, we had this pro boxer from our gym that this nigga was never ready. This nigga was never really ready to turn pro. But my dad had so much love for the nigga that, you know what I mean? He protected him. Like, he gave him what he wanted. Looked after him like his own son. So this was why it pissed me off, because like all I deal with in this boxing shit is snakes. You feel me? Like that's all we deal with in boxing. These pro boxers, bro, they easily manipulated. They easy to be manipulated. They make it seem like they fuck with you. The next thing you know what I mean? They going behind your back talking to different promoters, different managers, different trainers, and you know what I mean? They saying one thing to your face, and they telling somebody else something. Like they'll be like, "Oh man, you the best coach I ever had." Then they going behind your back saying how this trainer don't do this, and that for you. You know what I mean? And he got him up to a pretty solid record. Just for him to go behind my pop back and saying that, like he just be coming up with lies. Then, the info always comes back to my pops. My pop be like, "Yo, what you talking about?" "Oh, no, they lied on me. No, they lied on me." Why is all these niggas trying to lie on you, Juan? No, nigga, you out here lying your motherfucking self. You getting caught up. You throwing rocks behind my pop back, and then you trying to hide your hand like a sucker ass nigga. So, bro, that's what this boxing shit come with, bro. I swear. I ain't gonna lie. It be times where I just be like, bro, if I didn't have my amateurs, bro, I don't know if I'd be in boxing no more, bro. I swear I'd probably be done. I'd probably be done, bro. Southwest Dice said, "What's the next fights?" It's actually a good question. I know. Let me actually look at that. Let's take a look. Well, I think the next big fight, for real. What the hell? There's a fighter by the name of Christian M. Hilly. Not Christian M. Billy. Christian M. Hilly. That's literally the same fucking name. They just switched the letter. Go check this shit out. Not Christian M. Billy. Christian M. Hilly. Check this shit out. 1-0, one knockout from Belgium. 5'9", 25. Yeah, look at that. Christian M. Hilly. Ain't that some shit? But that's hilarious. Let's actually look at the schedule. That fucked me up because when I first saw it, I was like, "Damn, this nigga just fought. He already got a fight date." I was confused as shit. But September 18th, Liam Paro is fighting David Papat. All right. Some Tokyo fights. I don't really see anything notable. Yeah, I don't really see anything notable. Damn, but BoxRec got all the events on here. I guess the next big one is gonna be like Boots and Mazuma, right? That's like October 11th. So that's like in 3 weeks. So I'm assuming that's the next big fight. What the next notable fight? I ain't gonna say big fight. The next fight is probably gonna be Jerron Anderson with Isma Lima. But if you wanna take into consideration Liam Paro's fight with David Papat or whatever the fuck his name is, then I mean I guess that's the next big one. It's gonna be slow to October. Yeah, that's what it's looking like, man. It's just been tough as a content creator to come up with new shit to talk about, bro, because these fights just been coming in so slow at the end of the year. Hopefully 2026 start with a bang off the rip, bro. Hopefully that Shakur and T.O. shit get done in like January so we can look forward to that. You know what I mean? Something. And then I think the week after that or 2 weeks after that is Fundora Thurman. I think that's like October 25th. So we're going to have some shit popping in October for sure. But we got any last questions before we get up out of here, y'all? This definitely wasn't the biggest live, but, you know, it is what it is. That's how that shit be sometimes. Let me see. Yeah. We got any last questions before we get up out of here, people? Let me know. No. Ralph asked a good question. He said, "What do you think of Tim Tszyu saying that he switched trainers?" For those of y'all who don't know, man, he's talking about Tim Tszyu came back to social media after quitting against Sebastian Fundora, and he said that he's taking some time to think over things, and you know, he's starting to get that itch to fight again. So since he has this itch to fight again, you know, after really taking things into consideration, he's going to be making some changes because he wants to get back to the highest level, you know what I mean, aka winning the world title. So he's decided to make some changes within his team. Now, what those changes will be, he said we just got to stay tuned for it or whatever the case is. My opinion, I think he's going to end up getting an American trainer. That's just something that I believe. But you know, my thoughts on the whole situation, me personally, I don't think you had a team issue. I don't think you had a coach issue. I think you had a you issue, to be honest with you. I think that, first of all, you had an unfortunate situation with the elbow splitting your scalp and shit like that. You feel what I mean? It was just an unfortunate situation. And I think you didn't really take the time to really sit back and heal from that situation, not just from a physical standpoint in terms of letting the scar heal, but, you know, recovering from that traumatic situation in itself, because I could tell that Tim Tszyu had some heavy trauma off of that situation. That was your first career loss, from what I understand. And, you know, that first professional loss is always tough from what I've observed. You know what I mean? So you should have took the time to heal, let that wound heal. But what did you decide to do instead? You decided to get your monkey ass right back in the ring to go fight Bakr Murtazaliyev, that a lot of people didn't know of, but turned out he was pretty fucking dangerous. You know what I mean? And the moment that y'all get into a headbutt or whatever the case is, the first thing you do is tap your scalp to see if you're bleeding. That just lets me know you didn't heal from that situation psychologically. Now, still very traumatizing to you from a mental aspect, and you didn't truly believe in your recovery process from that, physically and mentally. You end up getting sparked shortly after the situation, and your confidence was shot as a result. Because now you suffering. You went from being an undefeated champion to having back-to-back L's. So you get a false sense of confidence after beating up a non-notable guy in Joey Spencer, who hasn't looked like anything since Jesus Ramos beat his ass. Then you want to try your fucking hand and fight Sebastian Fundora again, just for you to get that pressure put on you. You get beat up, you start getting beat up, and then you sit in that corner and you fucking quit. You sat there and you quit, brother, in front of the whole world. And you want us to believe that it was a coaching problem? No, it was a you problem. You had some things from a mental aspect that you have to address and you have to correct if you want to get back to that high level. Me personally, I don't think you ever get there again. I think the smoke too thick out at 154 pounds, and I don't think you got what it take to, go up against that. You already lost to one of the champions. Well, two of the champions. You lost to 2 out of the 4 champions in the division right now. You lost to Fundora. You lost to Bachram. You're not beating Terrence Crawford. You're not even beating the champion in recess. You're not beating Jermell Charlo. You know what I mean? Like, you're not beating Xander Zayas. You're not beating none of those dudes. Not right now. So I don't think you changing your team is going to fix what you got going on internally. Like I said, it's not a team thing, in my opinion. It's a you thing. And I'm going to tell you what, you could get the best trainer in the world. That trainer not going to be able to tap into this. The real revolution happens right inside of you, like J. Cole says, right? The real revolution happens right inside of you. What that means is change starts within yourself before everybody, like everything else changes. If you want the world to change, you got to change yourself first. If you want to change your situation, or you want to get back in the groove of things, or put yourself in the best position to getting back to the, the winning side of things, there's some things that you gotta address within yourself mentally. But I think even if you did for real, I think the damage is done. That's just me. I think the damage is done. I don't know. You seem like you had a sturdy chin on your come up, and now it looked like you be having trouble taking shots and shit. Like, that's a bad sign. You know what I mean? But Tim Tszyu, you ain't gotta be ashamed of anything. You ended up winning a world title. You got to the highest point of the sport, but your reign on the top was short like leprechauns, man. It is what it is. That's just what I personally believe, man. But shout out to the boy Ralph with the question. You know what I mean? I'm going to end up getting out of here, man. So I appreciate everybody that came through and showed love. If y'all could go ahead and hit the like button on the way out, that'd be very much appreciated, man. Shout out to everybody that was in the building. If y'all could go ahead and hit the like button on the way out, share the video, like the video. If y'all new to the channel, please subscribe to the channel as well. This is Marcus Rosa, a.k.a. Mazuma TV. We on the road to 4K. We well into the 3,100 mark. Looking to hit that 3,200 mark in due time. Looking to hit 4K by the end of the year. So we can get that done. That'd be very much appreciated. I'll be back at y'all at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to continue cooking up on what's going on in the boxing world. I hope y'all have a blessed, beautiful night. I'm up out of here, man. Peace.